Some moments don't echo when they pass. They just stay, like a ghost pressed against your spine, breathing down your neck every time you try to forget. My name's Jack. I'm 25 now, a junior architect at a firm in Chicago, trying to build other people's dreams while mine still sleep, half buried under regrets and what-ifs. But 2 weeks ago, on a rain-soaked Thursday that smelled like wet leaves and coffee, I found myself standing in front of the apartment I swore I'd never visit again. Same door, same number, and behind it, her. This is the story I've never told anyone. I call it, My Angry College Girl Opened the Door and Said, I was just thinking about you. It started with a book, a stupid, dog-eared copy of The Fountainhead that somehow ended up in my moving box 4 years ago. It was hers, Natalie. She used to underline in red, write small arguments in the margins. Every page was a battlefield between what she believed and what she feared. We met sophomore year design theory class. I thought she hated me. She probably did at first. She used to raise her hand just to challenge mine. But I loved that about her. We burned fast, fell harder, but like most things that catch fire, we turned to ash quicker than we should have. A month ago, I saw her name in an email thread. HR announcement. She'd just joined our sister firm across town. Project consultant. Same field. Different side of the city. My heart knocked the air out of my chest when I read it. I'd been in a long, boring relationship with someone who loved brunch more than intimacy. I was coasting, quiet, numb. Seeing Natalie's name woke something up. Something I didn't know I'd buried. Still, I wouldn't have reached out. I wouldn't have gone back. Until I found that book. It was in a torn box labeled Basement Crap. While I was looking for old sketches, as soon as I held it, something inside me twisted like a bad decision waiting to be made. I held it for hours, stared at her notes in the margins. I believe in walls, but only when you build them with the intention of breaking them down later. She'd scribbled that across a page. That was her. So I went. I looked her up. I found her new address from an old text thread we never deleted. And just like that, I was at her door, heartbeat like a jackhammer. Knock. 1, 2, nothing. 3. The lock clicked. The door opened just a crack, and her eyes met mine. Brown, sharp, guarded. Then a pause, and something shifted. She opened it fully, her voice a whisper caught in a storm. I was just thinking about you. She wasn't smiling. She looked tired, older, like she'd been fighting invisible wars. But damn, she was still beautiful. The kind that made you want to be better or burn trying. She stepped back, letting me in without a word. And suddenly, I was back in her world. The apartment smelled like jasmine tea and deadlines. Architectural plans were scattered on the table. A lamp with soft yellow light flickered in one corner. Her cat, Rumi, still alive, still fat, hissed at me like I was a memory he didn't approve of. I brought this, I said, holding up the book like an apology. She took it, stared at the cover. I wondered where it went, she muttered. I thought maybe I left it at your place. Or maybe you kept it. I didn't know I had it until last week, I said. She nodded slowly, then laughed. But it wasn't the Natalie laugh I remembered. It was thinner, like someone had stolen the joy from it. You look different, she said, walking back to the kitchen, pouring wine. Older, sadder. You don't, I said. She stopped. No, I do. Trust me. We talked. For hours. About nothing. And everything. She was engaged. His name was Colin. Partner at her firm. Perfect on paper. Until he cheated. With someone younger. Someone safe. The ring was still in the drawer. She hadn't had the courage to throw it away yet. That hit me harder than I expected. Then she asked, Are you happy, Jack? I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, no, I said. Not really. She nodded like she already knew. At some point, it got quiet. The storm outside turned into a soft drizzle. We sat close on the couch, our knees barely touching. And then she whispered, Why now? I looked at her, at the same eyes that once undressed every layer of me. Because the past doesn't leave, I said. It just waits. And then, she kissed me. It was soft, like an apology, like a memory reaching out one last time before fading. But just as my hands found her waist, her phone buzzed. Loud, urgent. She pulled away, looked at the screen, and froze. "What is it?" I asked. Her lips parted, eyes wide, color draining from her face. "Jack, you need to leave. Now." My heart dropped. "What's going on?" She shoved the phone into her pocket. "Please, I'm serious. I can't explain right now. Just go." "But, go." She shoved the book back in my hands and slammed the door behind me. I stood there, stunned. The sound of the rain swallowing everything. What the hell had just happened? Sometimes you don't realize you've stepped back into the fire until the door slams behind you and the smoke starts choking you all over again. I stood outside her apartment in the pouring rain, clutching that old book like it was a shield, soaked to the bone but frozen. Natalie, after 4 years of silence, wine, a kiss, and a whisper from the past, had slammed the door in my face. And she was terrified, not confused, not emotional, terrified. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept replaying her face after that phone buzzed, like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. At work the next morning, I was useless. I kept refreshing my emails like she'd magically message me. Nothing, but I couldn't shake it. And the thing is, when you've known someone that deeply, when you've seen them cry into your hoodie at 2 a.m. about their father's silence or their mother's perfectionism, you know when something's not right, and something wasn't. So, I did something I hadn't done in years. I drove to her old neighborhood, the one where her family lived. The house with the white swing on the porch and hydrangeas she used to complain about trimming. Her mom answered. She looked surprised to see me, older, more tired than I remembered. "Jack?" she said cautiously. "Is Natalie okay?" My stomach twisted. "You haven't heard from her?" She shook her head. "No, not since last weekend. She said she needed space, that she was fine. She's not in trouble, is she?" I lied. "No, just wanted to check in." But her mom's eyes told me she didn't believe me. That night, I did what I swore I'd never do. I reached out to Colin. Yeah, that Colin, her ex-fiancé. I still had his number from when we all went out to drinks once, back when they were the couple everyone admired. I sent him a simple message. "Where's Natalie?" No reply for an hour. Then finally, "Not your business anymore." I nearly threw my phone across the room, but I called anyway. He picked up, his voice smug, slurred like he was drinking. "She told me you showed up," he said. "Brought her that stupid book. You think that changes anything?" "What's going on, Colin?" A pause, then a laugh, dark, bitter. "You think she's some victim, huh? Poor Nat. Always the complicated artist girl with the tragic past and the clever quotes. You cheated on her." "Yeah, and she forgave me," he snapped. "But not you. Funny, isn't it? What does that mean? She didn't tell you?" "Oh, of course she didn't." My heart dropped. "Tell me what?" "That she left you, Jack. That you didn't just fade away. She pushed you out. Because you knew too much. Because your love scared the hell out of her." Silence. Couldn't breathe. "She's in deep now," he muttered. "Way deeper than you understand. But you want to play hero? Be my guest." Click. That night, I drove back to her apartment. Waited until the lights went out. Sat in my car like a creep watching for anything. At 2:13 a.m., I saw movement. A black SUV pulled up across the street. 2 men stepped out, clean-cut, too clean. Not neighbors. They didn't knock. They used a key. My pulse spiked. I got out, circled to the alley behind her building, climbed the rusty fire escape like we used to during sophomore spring when curfews didn't matter and neither did rules. I crouched by her window and saw them. Natalie was standing in the center of her living room. Not scared, not shrinking, speaking calmly to the 2 men. She handed them something. A hard drive, small, wrapped in brown cloth. One of the men said something I couldn't hear, then nodded. They left minutes later. She stood frozen for a second, then turned to the window, saw me, Our eyes locked through the glass. No panic, no shock, just sadness. She opened it slowly. "Jack," she whispered. "You shouldn't have come back. What's going on?" I asked. She didn't answer, just turned and walked inside, leaving the window open. So I followed. "I deserve to know," I said, stepping in. She looked like she hadn't slept, her shoulders tight with tension, her eyes red but dry. "I'm being watched," she said quietly. "I've been working on something off books." "For who?" "A private developer. Someone powerful. Someone who doesn't like paper trails." "And that?" I asked, pointing toward the now missing drive. "That's everything," she said. "Every crooked permit, every demolished building, every person paid to look the other way." My head spun. "And you were just, what? Going to disappear?" "I was trying to protect you," she said, her voice cracking. I stepped closer. "You don't get to decide what I can survive, Nat." She closed her eyes. "I was just thinking about you," she said again. "Before you knocked, I've been staring at that damn book, wondering if I'd ever have the guts to say sorry." "Sorry for what?" I asked. "For loving you like a coward," she whispered. "For pushing you away when I should have held on." The room went still. I touched her hand, cold, shaking. She pulled me into an embrace so tight it felt like drowning. Then, bang, glass shattered from the hallway. The front door burst open. A voice shouted, "Natalie Walker, step away from him." We froze. Another voice, deeper, roared, "He's not cleared. Take him now." Suddenly, red lights flashed through the apartment. Natalie's body turned to stone. I grabbed her wrist. "Run. Love isn't always the grand beginning. Sometimes it's what's left standing after the fire." Bruised, shaking, still choosing to stay. We ran. Through her back hallway, down the emergency stairwell, hearts pounding like war drums. Her hand gripped mine so tightly I could feel her pulse in my veins. Behind us, shouting, footsteps, a door kicked open. And for a second, just a second, I thought this might be how it ends. But Natalie was fast, calculated. She knew the building better than anyone. We slid through the laundry exit, ducked into an alley, and vanished into the soaked streets of Chicago like ghosts. We didn't stop until we reached my car 4 blocks away. She was soaked, hair plastered to her face, chest heaving. "What the hell was that?" I gasped. "They weren't cops," she said, wiping blood from a small cut above her eyebrow. "They were private. The developer I told you about, he has his own team. He found out I was planning to leak everything." "To who?" "To people who still care about the truth." We sat there, silent, drenched and breathless. Then she looked at me, really looked. "Why didn't you walk away, Jack?" she asked, voice hoarse. "After all these years, after what I did to you." I stared out the windshield, rain streaking like veins down the glass. "Because I never stopped loving you," I said. "Even when I hated you, even when I tried to replace you." She didn't say anything, just leaned over and kissed me, softly, slowly. But it wasn't passion. It was something deeper, like gratitude wrapped in regret. We went underground after that. Literally. A friend of hers, an old college roommate turned investigative journalist, helped us hide out in a safe house on the west side. There, Natalie handed over everything. Files, evidence, voice recordings, video logs. It wasn't just permits. It was human lives. Entire neighborhoods forced out. Buildings collapsed under staged demolitions. Inspectors paid off. One whistleblower, dead. She'd been collecting it all quietly, pretending to still work with Colin and the firm, playing along until she had enough to bury them. And she almost pulled it off. But here's the twist you won't see coming. Colin wasn't the villain. Not completely. He'd been helping her. Secretly. Out of guilt, maybe. Or some fractured love still clinging to her in a different shape. The affair? Cover. He fed her info behind the scenes. Took risks. Big ones. But when the bosses found out, they gave him a choice, disappear or disappear her. So he warned her. That was the text. The one that made her slam the door in my face. And then he vanished. Gone. Just like that. 3 weeks later, the leak went live. Major news networks. Headlines. Investigations. Arrests. The developer. In hiding. Warrant out. The firm shut down. And Natalie? She didn't run. She didn't hide. She stood on the courthouse steps in a gray coat, cameras flashing, hand trembling as she read a statement to the world. This isn't just about buildings. It's about the homes we destroy when profit becomes more important than people. And I won't be silent anymore. The crowd erupted, and I stood in the back, unknown, unseen, but proud in a way that broke me open. She never went back to architecture. She teaches now, ethics in design, at the same university where we met. We live 2 floors above a bookstore where we spent our second date arguing about Dostoevsky and whether passion is a strength or a curse. And that book, The Fountainhead, still sits on our shelf. Still with her red marks. We never replaced it, because now it tells a different story. Our story. If you're still listening, let me tell you the real lesson. The part they don't put in love songs or fairy tales. Sometimes the person who breaks you is also the one who helps you rebuild. Not because they're perfect, but because they came back, because they stood in the fire with you and didn't let go this time. I don't believe in happy endings anymore, but I believe in earned ones. And if you're holding on to someone with shaking hands and tired hearts, don't look for perfect. Look for real. Because sometimes, I was just thinking about you, is the bravest thing a broken heart can say.